Good evening and welcome to the home of the Matildas for tonight's round 19 NPL Men's Victoria fixture, the final game of the round, and it is a relegation six-pointer between Melbourne Victory and Port Melbourne Sharks. The stakes so high for both of these two teams looking to stave off the drop. The home side Melbourne Victory looking to back up what was an incredible win last week against Oakley, 5-2 on the road, and launch back out of the relegation zone after St Albans did very similar to what Melbourne Victory did earlier last week when they defeated Oakley earlier in the week. So Victory need all 3 points to get themselves back out of the drop zone. But for Port Melbourne Sharks, they need all 3 points as well to keep themselves in the mix for survival this season. Nick Tabano here tonight alongside Neil Simons to take you through all the action. Neil, the heavens have opened up just before kick-off tonight. We've seen plenty of chaotic fixtures, and if the weather's anything to go by and the way these two teams have played this season, expecting plenty more of it tonight.
The most peculiar thing I did tonight when arriving at Bundoora, it wasn't the fact that the stand on the far side, it wasn't there anymore. Behind the season last week, Charlie Gorevsky in folklore, and a crazy game that was. Peculiar goal scored by the opposition as well, but this Victory team immensely hungry, and as a collective unit, one of the best teams to watch in the league.
Well, taking you through the starting lineups for tonight, Melbourne Victory have gone in unchanged from the side that defeated Oakley 5-2 last week. Jonas Sultan again in goals, Linus Burke, Damian Bozanovsky, Jack Mihalidis, Daniel Lazarevsky, Jordan Hoey, Parker Williams, Patrick Wall, Charlie Gorevsky, Tabena Rabani and Alexi Harides make up the starting 11. Meanwhile for Port Melbourne, two changes from the side that drew 2-2 with Melbourne Knights last week. Mark Latsis and Aminam Karmas come into the starting lineup. No Tom Alessandrados and Owen McCloskey in the squad tonight. They're out of the team altogether, as is backup goalkeeper Alex Condolian. Sterling Angus, Christian Vranek and Owen Yankolovsky come into the squad for tonight. Reigning out that starting lineup is Luka Romic, Mark Latsis, Riyad Muyet, Anthony Laban, Delano Ferro, Maker, Nick Dibb, Liston Diaz, Mitchell Trychevsky, Karmas and Vakurtis. As we get things underway here, a very wet and wild home of the Matildas tonight. It's Port Melbourne kicking us off, going from right to left in their away kits, and Melbourne Victory in their traditional navy blue and white, going from left to right. Neil, this is a massive game. I mean, the stakes couldn't be higher. I mean, you think about some of the results already this weekend with St Albans defeating Oakley. We saw Altona drop points and as well South Melbourne drop points. So that relegation battle, all the sides in and amongst it, it's really starting to tighten up.
Oh, absolutely so, and it doesn't stop. Next week, Victory play at this venue against Melbourne Knights. So regardless of tonight's outcome, they are certainly not out of the waters of relegation as of yet. And that's a fantastic switch out towards that left-hand side to spot out to Beno Obani, but he is, of course, offside. Port Melbourne, on the balance, I think many thought that they'd be rooted to the bottom of the table. If you look at the squad on the balance, a litany of VPL1 players and a few, I wouldn't say a few, a lot of ex-Victory talents in this squad, including that man on the ball, Anthony Laban, the number 6. So I think, yeah, it promises to be, as we always say, an enticing clash, but tonight more than ever, the stakes are never higher.
Last time Victory were here at the home of the Matildas, they fell 3-2 against Avondale. It was a crazy game of football, and they'd be hoping to do just a little bit better compared to that one. They got back from 2-0 down, got it back to 2-2 late before conceding that late goal, but hoping to ride the momentum from last week's shock win against the reigning champions. Port Melbourne as well with the late show last week, coming back and stealing a point late against Melbourne Knights, who of course bottom of the NPL Victoria table. Here is Riyad Moyet stepping forward in that back five again. Port Melbourne, you did mention earlier, Neil, that this is the 6th game in charge now for Maxi Gajdovski since taking over from John Markovski. One win, then of course the loss against Avondale and Oakley, a draw against Green Gully. And then the draw as well against Melbourne Knights. So 1 win, 2 draws, 2 defeats. So not a terrible record. Despite, you know, all the Port Melbourne struggles, he's got them in a good position to still stave off the drop this season, especially if they can come away with a win tonight.
Oh, most definitely. And I think you look at Gajdowski's resume, and I guess in Australian circles, it's nothing to really... It's peculiar how a man who was a part of the scouting network at Zenit St. Petersburg has landed in Australia and was coaching State League 4 only a few months ago. And now he's taken charge of, well, one of the better NPL sides in the competition across the last few seasons. And let's not forget, Nick, this team was second on the table 3 seasons ago. None of those players play for this football club anymore. Christian Bombacha was the last player to have departed the club, and it's a completely new era. And they brought one back in the form of Listen Diaz. So, and he's, of course, only had 8 games this season to play, the captain. So, yeah, nothing exactly to shy away from.
He's the key man. 8 appearances, 6 goals this season. Just hasn't been able to get a clean run at it this year with those injuries that have really dogged him for the entire season, of course, coming across from Avondale in the off-season. Lovely ball through looking for a Barney. Pulls out for a throw-in. Rain unrelenting to start this game, and expect it's going to create all sorts of chaos for those on the pitch tonight. It's not the coolest of Melbourne winter nights tonight, Neil. I mean, despite those at home might be thinking differently, it's not the usual Melbourne chill that we have, but nonetheless, very pleased to be up here in the grandstand instead of being out in the open tonight. As strong challenge on that near side. It was Haritas who went to ground, and referee Lazaros Pantelides coming over to have a word right in front of the Melbourne Victory bench.
Oh, this would be such a difficult game to referee, especially with the conditions, and players would obviously put in challenges, but perhaps unintentionally over-exaggerated, perhaps, with the sliding deck. It is pummeling down tonight, absolutely pummeling down tonight. I cannot express it enough, and it's going to provide a very intriguing backdrop to this fixture here at the home of the Matildas. But it is Jack Mihailidis who stands over the ball here. Of course, his brother George Mihailidis of Austria Vienna. Flicks one into the centre. Across it goes, out towards that far side. Oh, and there's the first slip of the evening, and I don't suspect it won't be the last. Damian Bozanovsky looking to weave his way through. Of course, scored the late double against Avondale a few weeks ago. And Tabena Abani will take the throw. You can barely see the players, Nick. You can barely see the players. It's that heavy.
It's remarkable seeing just how much it is coming down here. There's Maker now with a slip on that far side. Abani inboard. Let's play it back out towards Mihailidis. Linus Burke offers support, and it's turned over. Burke was able to get back in the way to win it back, but Port Melbourne come up with possession. Mouillet out wide here to Vikertis. Vikertis going to ground, perhaps a little bit theatrically, and some of the Victory fans here in the home of the Matildas grandstand letting Vikertis know about it. Of course, one of those former Melbourne Victory juniors.
Oh, quite some while ago. Jonathan Vikertis, of course, ex-Joey, part of the under-17s at one point, and was in that under-17 FIFA World Cup squad with Jake Brimmer, Kai Rolls, and Pierce Waring as well. So he's been around the traps for quite some time, Johnny Vikertis. Now it's out towards Linus Burke. One of the ones that has been in his academy setup for quite some time now. Of course, was involved in that side that got promoted from NPL 3 as it was to NPL 2, then from NPL 2 to NPL 1. Was even involved in that missed promotion relegation game against Kingston City. It was a few seasons back. Mark Latzis was playing that day. Here is Jack Mihailidis. Port Melbourne looking to weave their way through traffic. Boris Soroshin's side. Very regimented in the way they're set up, of course. Hasn't had a senior head coaching role of this magnitude in the recent seasons. Has Boris Soroshin. Will hold that thought as Abani looks to fleet his way through towards Lazarevsky and off the head of a Port Melbourne Shark and out for a corner. Back for a throw-in, should I say. Abani He's played for all 3 A-League youth academies, Western United, City, and now the Victory, signed on the eve of the season. It's poked out wide. Obani looking to shape one in again. Lazarevsky!
Very well worked on that left-hand side, and Daniel Lazarevsky's been the man in form, Neil. 4 goals this season, and you've seen he's been able to start getting some consistent minutes in that starting lineup. Just that, how dynamic he is inside the area, particularly him and Patrick Wall. But already starting to impose himself on this contest. Daniel Lazarevsky, of course, massive raps. The numbers back it up for all his form in the juniors at Melbourne Victory. Mihalidis. Way back to the captain, Damien Bosnovsky. So good to see him back after injury robbed him of the middle part of the season. But a massive in for Victory in this stretch towards the finish. Of course, hoping to extend their stay in the top flight of Victorian football. And they're certainly going to need him alongside Parker Williams and Linus Burke in that defensive unit. Lazarevsky. And here's Burke. To play it through the lines. Paredes. See Port Melbourne sitting very deep at the moment, just allowing Victory to play it inside their attacking half. So a very clear game style from the Sharks, just looking to sit back and firmly play in transition. And Victory have had basically all the possession since this game kicked off 8.5 minutes ago.
Considering the wind is actually swaying towards their goal, you can't be exactly surprised on that basis. And I think for Port Melbourne, they do their best work on the counter-attack, and that's been a demonstrative part of their game plan. And the man involved in that will be the man that you've just seen, Liston Diaz, number 11. I think Josh Parrish on the podcast, of course, the famed NPL Victoria podcast, put a stat out a few weeks ago about his goal ratio per 90, and I think it was 44 minutes or something like that along those lines. And yeah, you might have to correct me, but that is just tremendous, of course. That's obviously been subdued in recent weeks, but some delight to have.
Certainly would be in the ballpark. When he's been on the field this season, he has been banging in the goals. It's just been a question of getting him on the field consistently. As Lazarevsky looking out wide, here's a chance for Wall, shoots on goal, and it's just wide. Great play there from Patrick Wall. Has been another real find this season, the number 22. Getting himself in some space, and 2 chances in quick succession there for Victory. And Port Melbourne, I mean, you mentioned that wind, Neil. It's, to use a bit of, sorry for breaking the no Sharon rule, but it does feel like a bit of a 3 or 4 goal breeze out there at the moment with the way the wind's swaying. So you just wonder if Victory can make the most of it. But Port Melbourne are breaking back the other way. Solano Ferro still going in a crossing position, but Parker Williams getting across and putting it out into touch. So first little foray forward here for the Sharks.
Yeah, Delano Farrow, he's a very hit and miss player at points in his footballing career, especially in recent seasons. Didn't quite get the game time he wanted at Preston Lions last season in VPL 1, and has made the switch, of course, to Port Melbourne. And he's been around the traps all just over 10 years, it seems, across the likes of Dandenong City as well, Delano Farrow. Was even at Springvale White Eagles, Box Hill United. And it's back into touch as Diaz. It's Nicholas Dibb back with Farrow. Got space on that right flank. It's Delano Farrow looking to weave one in, and they've won the corner. Have the Port Melbourne Sharks, and the tall timber you'd expect would arrive. Anthony Laban, one of them. And Riyad Mouyet. And it'll be Nicholas Dibb to take. Set piece taker in his time. Ex-Melbourne City youngster. Would certainly be against the run of play. But in no rush to take it is Nicholas Dibb now. Shapes one in. Sultan comes out to punch it away. And Diaz gets a touch, and Tarini on the counter. Can he force it all the way towards Hoey? He can't, and that's a timely interception on that far side from Mark Lapseth.
Victory do well to repel that first opportunity of the game for the Sharks. This Victory team already this year have had 31 different players feature. It just goes to show the sort of the harshness of the academy system, in the sense of that you can never really get a consistent squad out there for significant portions in the season. Of course, early in the year, you have the access to scholarship players and players who could still come down from the A-League squad. We saw the likes of Jing Reese and Alex Menelau and Christian Siciliano, Daniel Greskowski at different points this season, but now having to go deeper into the depth chart and look to more of those players who played in the under-23s, who are getting their opportunities in the final rounds of the season. A chance to impress as well, heading into the new A-League campaign.
Well, one thing is for certain, Arthur Dillies is always watching. I've seen him here multiple times. I've seen him actually across multiple grounds. I've seen him at Avondale a few times, as well as South Melbourne. So he's a very avid watcher of this league, and I'm sure will be paying very close attention to this fixture, despite him not being here, as far as I'm aware.
Throw in here to Victory on this far side. I mean, if Arthur Dillis isn't here, you'd hope that he's keeping dry and not out there in the elements at the moment.
Oh, yes.
It's that rain just has been non-stop since well before kickoff, and Linus Burke looking to feed it through. Played by Mouillet. His Wall plays it in board. Lazarevsky was waiting for it, but well played there by Laban, getting back and feeding it short to Riyad Mouillet. Helped on by Vakurtzis. Maker. Delano Ferro just had to stretch to receive possession. A bit of a collision there between he and Jordan Hoey, but no free kick. Victory can settle again. Mihalidis. Wall has two Sharks players to contest with, but Mouillet with the support. Pass just seems all the more difficult when you've just got bodies everywhere at the moment, as the ball tried to be fed through by Nick Dibb, but it's intercepted. Harides. See how the players really adjust to the conditions tonight, and so far Victory dominating the possession. Two best chances of the game, of course, have fallen to them for both Daniel Lazarevsky and Patrick Wall, but still we await the opener. Bozanovsky, long raking ball towards Abani, but it's in the air by Karmas, and it's out for a throw.
Victory stranglehold over possession at the moment, and this is the ordained way they like to play, unrelenting. It has rarely faltered, even when they've gone players down, like they did against the Victory earlier on in the season. Parker Williams sent off. It was an early goal from Jing Reese that got him back into the contest, and that's been the mantra from Boris Sorostin. Mouillet wins it back for Kurtzis, looking down the line. And it's one back by now. Mark Latsis. He's going to feed it towards Bozanovsky. Listen, Diaz. Cheekily chasing after him, although stopped in his tracks. Hoey. Delightful turn. He's got Abani to his left. Will he look to shape one in? He does. Rolls it square. And Anthony Laban will chip it over the top towards Liston Diaz. Of course, it was only a few seasons ago, Nick, that Anthony Laban scored that winning penalty against Adelaide City for the Victory in the, well, formerly known FFA Cup. This has had quite the journey, has Anthony Laban gone to Europe, played for the likes of NK Rache in the third tier in Croatia, and had a couple stints at North Geelong as well for good measure. Here's Bozanovsky. Well, drops nicely for Daniel Lazarevsky, and it's neatly claimed by Luka Lomic.
Just on that point around the, well, then FFA Cup and now Australia Cup, I mean, with Victory, of course, their round of 32 kicking off in late July, and obviously they'll find out who they're playing on Wednesday night, and friendly against Wrexham as well. You'd think that there would be opportunities for some of these players, if they do impress, to potentially get themselves into the squad. We saw last year Alex Lee get the opportunity under Patrick Isnorbo, amongst a few others who were able to make the step up into the senior squad. So perform well here. You never know what sort of opportunities can arise. And You know, I've seen the turn to more young players in the A-League, and you think that some of these Victory players, they'd feel that sort of confidence with the way that the competition has shifted, and hopefully they'll be able to make the most of their chance if it comes. Victory just happy to sit on the ball here. Here's Burke. Mihalides. Harides. Sorry, it was Gorevsky looking to feed it through, and it's turned over. Now here's Dibb. Back in board to Anthony Laban. So a chance here for Port Melbourne to slowly build up from the back. Here through Mitchell Trajewski, slotting in as that extra centre-back at times tonight, Mitch Trajewski. We've seen a lot of his football throughout the years, whether it's been at Preston or Bulleen. He's played further forward as a midfielder, but tonight playing as that third centre-back as Williams gets across, and a bit of a help of the corner flag, goes out there for a throw-in. So 18 minutes played here. Still we await the opening goal. A draw for either of these sides doesn't really do too much to help their position. Edges them closer towards safety, but a win for Melbourne Victory so important if they want to get their noses ahead in that relegation battle. Massive for Port Melbourne as well if they can start stringing wins together and get a win here tonight and put the pressure back on St Albans as well. Gorevsky going to get things moving. Burke. A lot of the ball early. Bozanovsky. Very disciplined setup here from Maxi Gajdovski's side, Neil. They're not giving Victory any space whatsoever. They're really setting their shape in that back five and not allowing those quicker Victory players to get in behind. But this is a nice passage here. Gorevsky looking there for Wall, but Vakurtis got his head in just in time, and it's out for a throw-in.
Oh, completely, Nick. I think they've not really looked like they've been troubled, to be honest, despite if we had the advent of possession stats, I'm sure it would sway heavily in the way of the home side, but it's intriguing to see the way that they've set up, and I'm sure there's always a reason, there's always a method behind the madness. Maybe that's a bit harsh towards Gajdovski. I wouldn't exactly call their football remotely close to madness, but it's been fascinating to see the way that they're set up tonight, and look to have just won the ball back briefly, but it's Mihalides who still holds it in touch. It's Delano Farrow who receives once again, slightly too far forward for Nicholas Dibb, and Victory will regain possession. Coming deep to receive, Gorevsky seeking the run out wide, and Vakurtis able to send it out towards the Victory touchline. Tried and tested throw in towards Linus Burke yet again. Flat back three in possession. Obani, Hoey, nice interplay. Obani Lazarevsky couldn't quite get it into touch, and the Sharks have space, but Liston Diaz has said hello to the surface here at the home of the Matildas. Flat face to the ground, and I'm sure that's not the second time we'll see that happen to him, potentially. Out wide again for Diaz on this left flank. The young captain of the Port Melbourne Sharks, twisting and turning away past Linus Burke, and wins the corner for the Port Melbourne Sharks. Really well played there from Burke, Neil. He did so well just to hold his ground, didn't allow Diaz to get in behind him, and we know how tricky of a customer Liston Diaz is to defend in this league, and Linus Burke did that expertly. Very, very well played. Well, he's been around the traps for quite some time, Linus Burke. 20 years old this year. And the older players in his Victory Academy, which really is just remarkable to say. See Melbourne City playing like 16 and 17-year-olds each week, and it's what the new era is in Australian football. Players are getting better at early ages. It's a good thing to see as the ball is fashioned in towards the back stick. Maker was there, and he does receive into touch across the face. Muyet, it beats past just about everyone, and Victory haven't got themselves out of harm's way just yet, as Alex Harides is fouled on this near touchline. And a yellow card for good measure to Johnny Vakurtis. Geez, that cross was just begging for someone to get ahead to it, Neil. It was a
telling ball into the area, and you saw Riyad Mouyet making that run, and you're just waiting for him to make clean purchase and nod that one towards goal. So danger averted there for Melbourne Victory. Was just looking at Maxi Godowski during that set play as well, and he had his arms up. It's like he was ready. He thought that was the moment there for Port Melbourne, but well defended there from Victory, and they're going to have to be desperate tonight, both teams. This is a game that we saw last year in the relegation battle, Neil, in these games when you saw the likes of St Albans and Manningham and Moreland City, when they were playing against each other, just how much were on the line in these games. And, you know, every point is so important. And in particular, these games, you know, yes, it might be a relegation six-pointer in all the words, but really, these points, when you look back at the end of the season, if this is what the difference is between safety and survival, you know, it's massive for both these two teams. Mouyet playing forward there to Vakurtis, looking for the run there of Liston Diaz. Bounces through there to Jonas Sultan, and a bit of a nervous moment there. Was just on the line. It was Jonas Sultan. Liston Diaz just asking the question there of the referee.
He certainly wasn't sure of himself. Jonathan Sultan. It was almost like nonchalant the way that he caught it. It was very peculiar.
Bozanovsky looking for the run of Barney. Bounces over the head of Karmas, but didn't take a deflection on the way through, and it's out for a goal kick. So still 0-0 here after 23 and a half minutes here at the home of the Matildas. Still the best chances of the game falling to both Daniel Lazarevsky and Patrick Wall. We need to add to their account this season, both with 4 goals this season. It's Luka Romic playing out, and they're wedded to their system are the Sharkies, playing out despite the conditions. Latsis stepping through the middle. Looking for the run there of Vakurtis, but straight to Linus Burke. Burke steps around Vakurtis. Well played there from Burke. But standing strong was Mouyet. Maker getting across and wins it ahead of Gorevsky. Port Melbourne could just slow things down, and interestingly enough, deciding to play it along the deck a little bit tonight, Neil, from those goal kicks. Not looking to play a bit more route one, especially given the conditions, and inviting the press of Melbourne Victory, and sticking to their ways are the Sharks in the early going of this game.
I think it's brilliant. I mean, considering Victory would be probably the most fit team in the league in terms of having that more or less full-time professionalism, it's what you would come to expect. But the way that they're seeking to counteract that tonight has proved successful. You just wonder how sustainable will it be across 90 minutes. As Liston Diaz, it was a fortunate touch for him initially. Once again, the tried and tested method from the Victory. Gorevsky seeking out Heridas. Good touch. Jack Mialides sees the advent of Patrick Wall on that right flank. Driving inside, traversing the penalty area. Gorevsky laterally looks for the option of Parker Williams. It's Hoey now, back towards Parker Williams, the centre half. Shutting up all the way. The hybrid nature in which Victory attack doesn't bear fruition by virtue of a chance. Maker looking to go on a bit of a... That was actually Amon Honkamas making a bit of an adventure. I'm fairly sure more than half of this squad has spent some time in the Victory Academy. Amon Honkamas, Maker, Liston Diaz, Jonathan Vakurtis, Mark Latsis.
Pretty incredible.
Remarkable. Just crazy. It's crazy statistic.
We find that a lot of the players, of course, throughout, I reckon if you go through the Paul Mavroudis, Tony Pasolio's football database, and you go back and you look through all the former seasons of when the academy team started playing in the NPL, it's a who's who of names that have played, particularly when you look at that Victory team that will last in the top tier. As to skip around, his man was Lazarevsky and couldn't get through. Ferro. Latsis looking for the run there of Diaz, and Bozanovsky just happy to slow things down and get things moving again. Of course, this is the fourth meeting between these two teams in league action. Played twice in 2016. Leave that for just a moment, because here's Herides out towards a Barney in a crossing position. Goes for goal himself instead and puts it wide. And you can see at the back post, I think that was Patrick Wall who was calling for it, was saying, put it on my head. But instead of Barney, saw the opportunity for himself and was just unable to put it on target. Maker under immediate pressure by Gorevsky. For a throw in there for Port Melbourne. So, oh, it has only been the fourth. Well, this is the fourth meeting, 3 prior meetings to this. Of course, Melbourne Victory won the contest earlier this year at JL Murphy Reserve 3-0. Goals from Wall, Lazarevsky, an own goal from Karmas. So Hoey now looking to get forward. Here is Wall looking for his options and just couldn't get him behind. And Luka Romic comes off his line to collect. Alexi Harides looking to get involved, but Romic did well. But the last time technically that Port Melbourne defeated Melbourne Victory was 9 years ago in the league out at Epping Stadium. It was a 2-1 win back in June, so we have ticked over the exact 9-year mark. So I know technically, look, they haven't played each other, much over the duration, but it has been over 9 years since Port Melbourne defeated Melbourne Victory in a competitive fixture.
Yeah, that team at that time, you compare the players that were in and around that youth squad at the time, Joey Katabian, Cameron McGill, Pierce Waring, I think even George Howard, you go as far back, Lucas Spinella, Alistair Bray, all those players more or less have played football in the NPL Victoria. So there's always an advent. If things don't work out for you, you can always play in my opinion, the best football league in the world. Here's Liston Diaz, causing a bit of danger for the Victory. An undersized number 9, 11 on his back. Gorevsky, exquisite touch. Harides says a sublime turn, and almost certainly going to be a free kick to the Victory. Alex Harides has really bettered himself well into this side since breaking in after the first few rounds of the campaign. Let's not forget, of course, that he trialled with his brother James Harides at Bayern Munich last year and has been involved in Joey's setups here and there. There's also another Victory player that's had involvement with a Bayern Munich squad of some nature. James Lackey, of course, is on the bench tonight, but yet to really demonstrate his immense quality. As Alex Harides at this facility did score last week against the Oakley Cannons. There's a bit of conjecture here as to the timing of this free kick, but nonetheless, Jack Mihalidis will be the one to shape this one in. Lazarevsky was rising highest and a sliding Victory player on that far side. I think that might have been Parker Williams, I think.
And I think it was Damian Bozanovsky, yep.
Very hard to tell. They're both very tall boys.
Port Melbourne again looking to play out from the back. Here's Dib, short to Laban for Curtis. Dib calling for it, as is Diaz, and the foot race is on. Bozanovsky getting across just in time and putting it out for a throw-in. Mentioned earlier, Delano Ferro, one of the former Preston players in this team, along with Nicholas Dib and Mitchell Tchaichevsky. Nick Dib, who, of course, no stranger to the top flight, likes of Dandenong City prior to his stint at the Preston Lions. Diaz shut down the edge of the box. Now a chance for Victory to go back the other way. Harides deflected almost into the path there of Lazarevsky. Tchaichevsky does well to shield the ball and play it all the way back. Latsis, now Romic. Oh, a bit of an unfortunate slip there, but got enough on it to make its way to Ferro. Lovely little dummy. Maker, Dib, back in board to Ferro. Lovely bit of interplay here from the Port Melbourne attackers as Curtis hits some space on his left-hand side. Finds the Sharkies left back, plays it into the area, and it comes out to the back post. And Port Melbourne are in the lead. It's Liston Diaz again against his former team. Goal number 7 this season. And the Sharkies draw first blood here at the home of the Matildas.
That was a sublime piece of football from the Port Melbourne Sharks, and a sublime and pinch-perfect delivery from Jonathan Vikertsis. The two ex-Victory Academy boys combining. Remarkable stuff, and Port Melbourne have taken the lead unexpectedly at the home of the Matildas. And Liston Diaz, after only playing 9 games in this competition, has just about 7 goals to his name. It's tremendous.
Well, that result, if this continues, looking at the live ladder, Neil, Port Melbourne will be 2 points behind St Albans. Victory will remain 2 points behind St Albans, but of course, Victory's goal difference a lot better than Port Melbourne's at the moment, but what a massive goal that could be for Port Melbourne's survival hopes. And Victory have got a mountain to climb to get themselves back into this game.
Oh, yes.
Still plenty of football to be played, but the Sharkies draw first blood perhaps against the run of play.
And we're not really haven't seen Luka Romic being tested either. I forgot to add, he's actually the player I forgot that did play for Melbourne Victory and Western United. I think that's 7 or so. My math is correct, but Victory just have to do more to test. It's all well and good to play a stylistic style of football, but it's about generating chances and opportunities, and by holding this much of the ball, you leave yourself culpable, and that's what happened on the counter-attack. That's exactly what happened. When you have creative players like Delano Farah and Anthony Laban who can dictate tempo when they want to, that's the outcome that you will have. And not to say that Victory have been terrible tonight, but they certainly need to be sharper in many phases of play. Here's to Benner Abani. Short in towards Lazarevsky. Traversing past the byline. It's back with Abani. Slightly in field for Jordan Hoey. Gorlevsky. Hoey. Knock it back into the central channel. Bozanovsky. Burke. It's Horidis. Takes it on to his right. It's Alexander Horidis. Linus Burke. Happy to be the tempo setters. Boris Sharostin's side. To Bennett Abani. Back towards Bozanovsky. Not to say that they have gone down and stayed quiet. They've came back from 2 goals down against Avondale 2 weeks ago. And Leban has it in space. And that's a delightful ball towards Liston Diaz. Just quite didn't stay into touch on that near side.
So just over 10 minutes of regulation remaining in this first half. Liston Diaz's goal, the difference between the two teams. And his goals have really kept Port Melbourne in this relegation battle this season. 7 goals now this season of their 19 for the season. It's a remarkable stat. Over a third of their goals have come from him, and you almost wonder, you know, what could have been if he'd been fit and firing and there every week this season. Things could be a little bit different for the Sharkies, but a big goal there for Diaz, and Port Melbourne with their noses in front. As Vikertis, the man who got the assist to take this throw in. Here's Dib. Looking for Farrow, but it's turned over. Williams, Hoey. Now Abani. It's looking back for Hoey, but Farrow getting back and feeds it to Latsis and back to Delano Farrow. Very well played here from Port Melbourne on that far side, but Abani did enough to put a bit of pressure on the Port Melbourne attacker and cause the turnover. Here's Burke. Well disciplined again, Port Melbourne getting into that shape, looking to make things hard for Victory as Lazarevsky holds it up. Haridi skips past one man, goes to ground, the edge of the box. And it's a free kick to Melbourne Victory in a very dangerous position.
That is tricky from Alex Horidis. And that's a delightful piece of play to shape away from his marker and earn the free kick. And Liston Diaz has pushed the ball slightly away from the D region. I'm not sure what the intention was behind that. Maybe he saw things from a different angle. And it looks like Maxim Gajdovsky's assistants are having a chat to the 4th official on this near side as well. So I'm not sure how much of a difference 2 yards or so will make, but there you go.
So we'll see who assumes free kick duties. It's Jordan Hoey. who's standing over it. Two players have stepped aside, and opportunity here for Hoey to bring the scores level on the stroke of half-time. In a really dangerous position, Luka Romic setting up his wall. Hoey steps up, and it's always rising, and it's over the bar, so a great opportunity there for victory. But unable to make the most of it, Port Melbourne can breathe a sigh of relief, Neil.
Oh, yeah, and I think, again, Luka Romic hasn't really been tested, even after that free kick, and we know this victory team can score goals. They have done this entire season. They've scored 7 goals in their last 2 matches. It's demonstrative of their quality. It's just about finding the finishing touch. I mean, we've had Lazarevsky, Jordan Hoey, and Patrick Wall score 4 goals apiece for the season, but they haven't found that focal outlet that will sustain them for the rest of the campaign, and that's a very nervy moment for the victory as Bozanovski gets himself in the way just in the nick of time. It's Delano Farrow, scrappy, just outside of the victory defensive penalty box. Leban forces it out wide. It's out towards Mark Latsis. Now Maker. Right-hand edge of the penalty area. Latsis again. The last touch came off Hoey, but he keeps it in play cleverly. Does the Bulleen Lions youngster. Oh, here is Liston Diaz now. Wins the interception and calls for the handball. Will win the throw-in.
Some flashing lights in the background there, Neil, just over the wall. Not sure if that might be some lightning or something there, but just saw some interesting flashing lights. I really hope not. No lightning delays tonight, please.
It's the 8:15 kickoff already. That's quite late itself. Hopefully nothing untoward comes by way of that. Although stranger things have happened in this great league. Even in Sydney last week, so many games were postponed and actually abandoned before full time in the NPL New South Wales because of that. So we hope that doesn't wreak havoc upon the NPL Victoria, although there's only one game being played tonight, so it doesn't quite have the same effect. Here's Amanhom Karmas. Out wide, Delano Farrow in space, shapes one in, Bozanovski able to get it out of harm's way, and it was all too difficult for Mark Latsis to get it onto his chest. Lazarevsky breaks away from the challengers. Over the top it might fall for Patrick Wall. It's Bouye, and Luka Romic sends it out wide and out for a victory throw. I think it will be Jordan Hoey who will leave it short for to Bennett Abani. And the rain has stopped here, in case you haven't seen on the broadcast. Hopefully means we'll have a better playing surface. Not sure how the drainage is on this pitch, but nonetheless, Bozanovski out towards Latsis. Sorry, should I say Linus Burke, his opposite number. Patrick Wall tracking incredibly deep to receive and has to be very quick with his decision making here, and it turned out in their favour. Here's Alex Harides. Space to shoot. Tries a bit of a skill move, but that did not pan out whatsoever. And Maker will feed it into the path of Liston Diaz with a cheeky back heel. Now Nicholas Dibb looking to feed in Liston Diaz. Couldn't do so, but it's still kept in a touch by Nicholas Dibb, and Bozanovski tracks away from Liston Diaz, who sees a clear path through. Liston Diaz rifles it at Sultan. What a fascinating piece of play there.
Just took it upon himself, saw the space ahead of him and thought, why not from the tight angle? But good hands there from Sultan. Did well to stand firm and parry that one out for a corner.
And it will be Nicholas Dibb again. You just feel as if the tempo switches have swayed in the way of the Sharkies. It's those 1 or 2 touches that have, and decisions, should I say, from the Victory's defence that have left them dry at some points. It's Nicholas Dibb now to fashion this one in. Towards the middle it goes. It was Karmas who rose. It's Diaz again. And I think that might sit kindly for Nicholas Dibb. On his right foot again. Fashions one in. Into the mixer. It's Diaz, and I think it was a rising Liston Diaz who just heads it wide of the goal.
Every time he gets near the ball, he looks dangerous at the moment, Liston Diaz. Whether it's with his feet or with his head, and that was a delightful ball in from Nicholas Dibb. And I'll tell you what, you know, that's surely got to be coming back. That ball was still bouncing from that goal kick. But, yeah, I mean, Dib is such a good player with a dead ball. We can see him with those set piece, with those corners. He can hit a free kick as well. He's a player to really watch tonight, particularly from those set piece situations. And so far, he's actually been able to cause some problems as Victory look to go back the other way. Well played from Latsis getting back and denying Hoey, and Romic with the first-time clearance. Williams. It's the aforementioned Dib and Gorevsky collide, and it works out here for Victory. Harides. Back to Mihalidis. Lazarevsky, good strength. Back to Burke. Calm in possession here and pops the plate all the way back to Bozanovsky. First time ball into Hoey. Gorevsky has turned over, and now a chance here for Port Melbourne to go again. It's the goal scorer Diaz. Has Ferro alongside him. Looks to feed it through towards Delano, and well played from Bozanovsky, and he almost played himself into trouble. Ferro keeps it alive. Backing board towards Maker, and it's turned over. And the speed of Port Melbourne causing problems for Victory, but now a chance for the home side to go back the other way. Lazarevsky wins his side a throw in here on that near side, but Bozanovsky did so well to chase it down. But when you got someone with the speed of Delano Ferro, you know, you have to be completely aware. You never eyes at the back of your head in those sort of moments, and Bozanovsky did just enough to avert the danger there for Victory.
He's a great player on the ball, Damian Bozanovsky, but at times he has been caught out this season. Let's not kid ourselves here, and that was one of those moments. And of course the Bozanovsky name it's a good one in Victorian football, so especially centre-backs of his ilk. So at this level, of course he's got a lot to learn. Still very young is Damian Bozanovsky. Lazarevsky out wide. Barney looking for the 1-2 punch with Jordan Hoey, but that's impeccably defended by the Sharkies. They're able to fashion it away and a harm's way for the time being, although Delano Farrow nipping in behind briefly. Into the centre circle it goes. Linus Burke. Deflected touch. It's Anthony Laban who got to it and will shape one over the top. And that will sit very kindly for Liston Diaz, who read it perfectly. He's got space to his left and just couldn't feed it through to Nicholas Dibb. That might have been another crucial chance for the Sharkies, and Harides will face it out wide for Barney. As we have 20 seconds left in regulation time, what has been one of the more entertainment-fueled first halves here in the NPL Victoria. Damian Bozanovsky now. Straightforward pass, Gorevsky. Harides, good touch, 1 minute of added time. And they've called for a free kick, which has been taken quickly. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. A bit of confusion.
Port Melbourne technical area not happy with that. They thought it should have been play on. And the word there with the fourth official, Neil.
Yeah, well, that's very intriguing. And if I were to say, if you're Jack Mihalidis, why not let one fly from this position? He can't go from there, can he? But I think you've got Bozanovsky for a potential back post header here. Why not?
He can, Neil, to keep it simple.
He can. I think he might do it, though. I think he might. He'll opt for the attempted cross in, and although it didn't bear fruit, Paul Melbourne looked to weave out of play. As I think I did see another lightning strike, if my eyes do not deceive me. Here is Nicholas Dibb. And I think Port Melbourne will want to take away as much time as possible as half-time is blown here at the home of the Matildas. After Victory have nothing but dominated proceedings by virtue of possession, it is the undermanned Port Melbourne Sharks who come away with the 1-0 lead at half-time, Nick Tabano.
Yeah, I mean, Victory, as you said, had all the ball. They were putting Port Melbourne under pressure, but as the game went on, Port Melbourne were able to ease themselves into the contest and just dynamic in transition. And a well-worked goal that led to Liston Diaz's opener and has Port Melbourne's noses ahead. Massive second half to come here. You know, this is the epitome of a relegation six-pointer. It's all going to be on the line this second half. Welcome back to the home of the Matildas for this round 19 NPL Men's Victoria fixture. It's Melbourne Victory 0, Port Melbourne Sharks 1. Liston Diaz's goal, the difference between the two sides. As we get ready to start the second half, it has been a blustery halftime break. We had the rain in the first half. The rain has stopped, but the wind has picked up, and we're on weather watch at the moment as well because, of course, we saw some lightning earlier in the first half, but it looks like play will continue, which is great news for everyone here at the home of the Matildas. Nick Dabano and Neil Simons here to take you through the second half. Neil, the Sharkies, a goal to the good, and what a result it would be if they're able to hang on tonight. But Victory, they're desperate. They need points. It's going to be a big final 45 here.
It's really demonstrative of, I guess, both of these sides' seasons. I mean, so many green shoots from both opposition teams. I mean, Victory have looked great in transition in many moments. Alex Harides, his turning circle has been just tremendous tonight, and I think same for Jordan Hoey. I want to see him get on the ball more because he has been the difference maker. He's probably been the standout player for Victory across the campaign. But as for the Sharks, they've taken this game plan like a duck to water, the players. Kudos to the likes of Liston Diaz, Delano Farrow, and Anthony Laban, who have really been in tip-top form by virtue of this system that Maxim Gajdovski has enforced. So it's certainly getting a bit colder, as I see you put the gloves on, Nick, and my hood is up. So it's certainly going to take a different complexion this second half. Although for a different weather reason, Nick Dabano.
We were talking about the how it wasn't too cold in the first half, but it's amazing how in the space of a matter of minutes, classic Melbourne weather, the snow gloves are out. See our cameraman Raman's all rugged up as well, all ready to go for this second half. Of course, as well, you got the hood on Neil, but hopefully the weather will hold up for the second half in what is a massive game for both these two teams. Both teams unchanged at half-time. As Dib feeding through the goal scorer, Diaz isolated here with Bozanovski. Diaz cuts one way, back the other. Still going here, Diaz. And well defended there from Bozanovski. Did well to marshal Diaz to the byline. And Jonas Sultan's there to pick it up. But, geez, every time Liston Diaz gets forward down that right-hand side, he just looks dangerous.
I think he just took too long there, to be honest. And I think whilst he had the space to curl onto his right and take the shot, he didn't. But conversely, Bozanovski did really well there. He's a great 1v1 defender, has the pace, has those long legs and strides, and we've seen a few ex-Victory Academy players in attendance tonight, and that man with the number 28 shirt, Casey Boss, has been obviously taken down by Charlie Gorevsky, so we've seen him tonight as well as Matt Bozanovski as well, so always a few stars here in about the home of the Matildas. Is Domenico Barney with a long stride forward. Will win the ball back though. Lateral pass towards Hoey. And Maker able to get himself out of danger for the time being. Harides and Maker. And a bit of a tug of the shirt. You could just go to JL Murphy to buy that shirt if you wanted to. Charlie Gorevsky as he goes into the book. For a yellow card. I think that's Victory's first of the night. He had a good tug of the shirt, didn't he, Charlie Gorevsky?
Yeah, he got a full handful there.
And you just have to think, if Port Melbourne get a second, that they will just about shut up shop. It'll be night service. And they might even do so now, but for the time being, Victory have legs. And they will continue to fight as Romic, under some slight pressure, deals with it well. Mouillet. The misplaced pass, it's straight towards Bozanovski, and space on the right flank for Hoey. Fashions one in. In fact, it is Hoey this time. Oh, that is wayward of the goal.
So well worked down on that far side, and Jordan Hoey did well to bring it under control, just unable to steer it on target. Really well played there from Victory, but a very promising start to this second half as well from the home side. We spoke about what this live ladder looks like at the moment, Neil. Both teams be level on points, 2 points behind St Albans. Should this result stay, Victory would have their noses just ahead of Port Melbourne on the table. But if Victory are able to come from behind and win this game, they'll be out of the relegation zone to end the round, just as they started it before St Albans' win last Friday against the Oakley Cannons, as Michaelides looking for the run there of Wall, but Mouillet does well to get across. And here's Vikertis. Diaz. Back to Vikertis. Inboard to Maker in a load of space here as Latzis to his right. Maker looking to take it upon himself here. And it's well defended there by Urbani, doing well to make the key interception. Latzis back to Karmas. Ferro. Maker looking back towards Ferro, but it's Williams who got across, and he's looking to this one out of defence. It's a big deflection forward and a strong challenge here at the halfway line. No free kick paid. Ball still on the deck. Lazaros Pantelides letting the play run as Ferro, Maker, looking for the run there of Latzis, but he's just offside. Wasn't able to time his run to perfection. And Patrick Wall's going to get a speaking to here from the referee. See here as well, the Melbourne Victory bench not best pleased. They thought they should have had a free kick at the halfway line there, Neil.
You don't see Boris Soroshtin really get that upset. He often gets his assistants to do the talking. But in that sense, he's quite dissatisfied with the outcome, having a stern chat with the fourth official. So, well, it appeared to me that the ball was won there, and I think Patrick Wall was dispossessed cleanly and within a legal manner. But as for now, it is the Sharks who, with all the momentum by virtue of attacking opportunities so far in this second half. It's only been 6 minutes, but it will speak volumes about the trajectory that they are going on this season, the course that they decide to take. Here is Liston Diaz, just on the halfway line. He's got numbers forward for him, except for Delano Farrow, who can't quite get into touch. Parker Williams now striding forward. The former Central Coast Mariner, Hoey, first time touch. Isn't successful. Dib, Maker. Well, attempts the bit of skill and eventually dispossessed by Hoey, but conversely, Laban able to win it back, and quite a bit of hoo-ha in the midfield. Both sides unable to get a long stranglehold over possession, and it's a very overhit pass from Linus Burke, but it might bear fruition here. Dib cleanly towards Vikertis and spots out the run of Liston Diaz, who plays the attempted outside of the foot pass towards Delano Farrow, but couldn't quite time it to perfection. That would have been the opportunity for the Port Melbourne Sharks, but the Victory will look to run the course again. That's a delightful ball, but it can't quite find the touch of Tabena Abani.
End-to-end stuff there, Neil, and still that threat of Liston Diaz in transition, and Delano Farrow was in a lot of space on that right-hand side if they were able to get it to him, but really well played again from Port Melbourne. Very impressed with how they've played this game so far and how just dynamic they've been when they break. So quick, so direct, and have been able to cause this Victory defence all sorts of problems. Abani wins the throw. Both teams still yet to turn to their substitute bench, as Burke plays it short. Michaelides. Victory do have attacking weapons waiting in the wings, as Bozanovsky into Hoey. Lazarevsky, well played from Maker again. Lazarevsky got a foot in. Michaelides looking for Wall, Laban. Gorevsky does well. Here is Wall. Back to Charlie Gorevsky. Abani in a crossing position. Plays it short. Gorevsky. Abani back towards Gorevsky. In towards the area, and it's cleared away there by Trychevsky. Did well. It's out for a throw-in. So looking at that Victory bench, Tommaso Minatoli is that name that really stands out amongst the names, along with Nicholas Cevicevic, James Lackey, Aaron Bozensky, John Bradmitsis, and Of course, backup goalkeeper Casper Fonsboil. Tommaso Minatola, you'd expect his name to be called at some point. Victory going to be chasing a goal as Burke. Paredes skips around his man, but forced to recycle possession there to Burke. Puts it into the area. Good touch from Lazarevski, and it's attempt straight at Luka Romic. On the bench as well for Port Melbourne tonight, Owen Jankulovski, Aidan Brown, who scored last week. Alec Bechvanovsky, Christian Vranek, Daniel Serra, and Sterling Angus. Here's Hoey again. Abani does well to get past his man in a crossing position, plays along the deck. Laban got a key foot in. Maker helps it on its way, and Delano Ferro with a scuff clearance and out for another throw-in.
I don't think they'll be making his TikTok reel this week, to be honest, Delano Ferro. He's been fantastic tonight, has to be said, but Victory just really beginning to batter down the hatches at the moment of the Sharks and begin to test them in more ways than one. Out towards that far side it goes. Driving towards the byline across the face, but nonetheless, the Sharks goal kick again. No Alex Condolian tonight either. Did start the early portion of games this season, was scratched off the team sheet. You do wonder, Nick, I think it's now it's an important time to say the transfer window is open for business at 11:59 p.m. tonight, or 12:01, I'm not quite sure. But I believe this week we'll have a few more names on the team sheet for both sides, Victory and Port Melbourne. It's a fantastic drive forward from the Victory. It might fall kindly. It does, and it's eventually poked through. The Victory get their goal back. Romic is incensed, but it is Daniel Lazarevski with his 5th of the season. The Paco Jr. able to level terms with the Sharks. And, well, Ryan Moyer, Jonathan Vakurtzis, and Mitch Trajewski are absolutely enraged with the assistant on the far side. Might there be a bit more of a discussion, perhaps, Nick Dabano?
Oh, looks like a yellow card has been awarded in the meantime to Riyad Boyette. So despite their protests, the goal still stands. And what a massive goal that is there for Victory, Neil. Level on the scoreboard, of course, this point gets them back within a single point of St Albans on the live ladder. But that's a hammer blow there for Port Melbourne. We're really causing problems in transition, but Victory, they were knocking on the door and they get their goal there. Very well played and a good finish there from Lazarevski. So, game on here. It's going to be an exciting final half hour or so as Dib looking to feed it through, but a bit too much on it there for Vakurtzis, and it's out for a goal kick.
We have to have a look at that, Nick. We have to at some point. I'm sure there was something there that it's incensed the Port Melbourne Sharks players. Perhaps it was a player in an offside position, and I think potentially more danger for Port Melbourne is that Liston Diaz does not look great on that far side. Attention is drawn back towards the Victory in the attacking area. Now towards Dib. That's a great first touch, and he's drawn to ground. You see Liston Diaz limping. Oh dear, they cannot afford for this to happen, the Sharks. And he's gone down now. Oh dearie me, Nick. I think their night has just gone from bad to worse.
Looks like he's going to have to require some treatment, so the Port physio will be called upon to have a look at Liston Diaz. And I mean, we spoke about his injuries this season, which has meant he's missed so much football, and man who opened the scoring for Port Melbourne might be forced off the pitch here. Aidan Brown and Alec Bechvanovsky, the two attacking options on the bench for Port Melbourne. They'll be hoping it's nothing more than just a knock and he's able to run it off, and it looks like he's going to do his best to run it off. So that's great news for Port Melbourne that Liston Diaz, for now at least, will continue and see how much more he can get out of himself here as Latsis wins it back. Strong challenge from Paredes, did very well, but Maker got the trailing leg. Latsis wins it back, turns his man. Well played from Mark Latsis. Here is Diaz. Ball over the top towards Vakurtzis. Can Vakurtzis keep it alive? He does. No, in fact, the assistant referee signals for a goal kick.
Well, Alec Bechvanovsky, he literally had his warm-up bib off he was ready to come on, and listen, Diaz dug deep and said, I've still got a few minutes in me. Or maybe another 30, I don't know. You never know. He is a personal trainer by day, so I think he has to dig deep in many areas, and I'm sure that's what he tells his clients. Amanhon Karmas, now Latsis. Didn't quite get pass cleanly off there, but it's Karmas yet again. Oh, that's a poor giveaway. And it will be easy pickings for Patrick Wall. Mitrovchevsky goes into the book. That was an immensely dangerous passage from the Victory. They can pounce like cats when you give the ball away. And, well, it could have been even more disaster. And you have to say, on the balance, a good foul, Nick Damano.
Yeah, risky though. There was some fans here in the grandstand who asked the question, was Trajchevsky the last man? So a bit of a nervous moment there, and only a yellow card. So on the merit of it only being a yellow, good foul, Neil. But had it been just, had he been a little bit further back, perhaps we'd be having a very, very different discussion.
Hindsight is 2020, or hindsight, Patrick Wall wears the number 22. Here is Mihalidis on the obtuse angle. Fashions one in, backstick it goes. It's time for the attempted cross, but eventually it's batted clear by the Sharks. And the Victory will go take the throw. We are no stranger to late shows here at the home of the Matildas, especially with this Victory side, and tonight might prove to be yet another one of those nights, as Vikertzis will win the throw for the Sharks. Taking his time is Jonathan Vikertzis. Leban. High in the air it goes. Diaz with the attempted header. Bozanovsky was there. Tracking back is Linus Burke. And will drive it in field and play it back towards Sultan. 3 keepers the Victory have fielded this season. Sultan, Dino Graskowski, and of course Christian Siciliano, who was released by the club alongside Alex Menelau and Fabian Monge a few weeks ago, as another overhit ball from Parker Williams towards Bennett Abani.
So just over an hour played here. Score 1 apiece. Daniel Lazarevsky's equalizer, setting this game up beautifully for the final half hour or so here. So much on the line for these two teams tonight. Lazarevsky wins his side of throw. And we will get the first substitution of the game. It will be Melbourne Victory. We're making that change, and it's going to be John Radmitsis to be coming on here, and it looks like it's Alex Haridis who'll be coming off here. So first change of the night there for the Victory. So John Radmitsis back in the squad tonight, coming on here for the final half hour or so. Some fresh legs in the middle of the park there for Melbourne Victory.
Alexi Haridis to be replaced by number 36, John Radmitsis.
Here is Radmitsis with his first touch of the game.
Yeah, he was really good in the early portions of the season, was played deeper in the early portions of the season, and intriguingly will be played deeper tonight as well. So that's obviously a change that Saroshan and the coaching staff have made to maybe falter the approach in the counter-attacking phases that Port Melbourne have liked to have done tonight, and probably a smart one at that. John Radmitsis, the ex-Whittlesea Ranger. I'm sure he might have watched the old Victory youth teams play there at Epping Stadium. Almost feels a bit wrong that they're not playing at Epping Stadium, Nick, doesn't it?
So, but this is I really love this facility out here in Bundoora, Neil.
Remarkably
There
newer.
is a certain charm to Epping Stadium. Lovely bit of work down the byline, and A tangle inside the box, and referee Lazaros Pantelides waves it away. And a nervous moment there for the Port Melbourne defence, and it was Michaelides who got in behind, and no penalty awarded to Victory. As Curtis looking for Diaz, who timed his run well to stay on side. Looking for Ferro in behind, but Sultan with a spill. Ferro a chance. Can he put Port Melbourne back in front? Oh, it's a brilliant block by Bozanovski. Still a chance. And Diaz's effort, and it's in. It caught everyone off guard. And Liston Diaz has a second.
Oh my word. You thought he'd torn a calf 10 minutes ago. Liston Diaz. He dug deep. He fought on. And they've earned themselves a second. And it's Liston Diaz who is just about averaging a goal a game. 9 games played. 8 goals scored. He is an athletic phenom.
Well, Delano Ferro had the initial opportunity after that spill from Jonas Sultan, Neil. We were expecting Sultan just to pick it up, a customary sort of clearance there for Victory. It was a great block from Bozanovski, getting back, getting his body in the way to deny what was going to be a certain goal for Port Melbourne. And when Diaz got it back from our position, given the way it just rolled in, it looked like it went wide, but in fact it nestled in the bottom corner. It caught everyone off guard, and Port Melbourne are back in front here at the home of the Matildas. And as you mentioned, Neil, Liston Diaz having some game, considering only a matter of minutes ago, it looked like his evening was done.
Oh, it's unbelievable, really. And he's done it time and time again, and did it against South Melbourne twice. He's done it tonight twice. He's a match winner, Liston Diaz. But we don't want to speak too soon. Port Melbourne have to defend a 2-1 lead, which is, well, dare I say, one of the most dangerous score lines in the world of football. Nick Dabano, and they have players to put on. Tommaso Minatoli, he is most definitely a player that you would love to bring on now. And the task got all the more difficult for the Melbourne Victory. As Lazarevski again, a touch inside, it's Michaelides. Can he get it away? He can't. And Port Melbourne spare their blushes again and get it clear. But to no one in pursuit, and it's just get it out of there and hope it sticks. Gorevsky out wide. We're going to poke it over the top, and that was a misaligned pass. And it looks as if we will see the first introduction for the Port Melbourne Sharks, Alec Bechvinovsky. Brown, of course, Bechvinovsky. Well, I dare we say much about his father, Sach Bechvinovsky, of course, the absolute legend he was in Victorian football, Victoria's greatest goal scorer in the state leagues. And of course, Aidan Brown as well. Also in his wisdom, 2 goals this season for him. And of course, formerly of Caroline Springs, George Cross with 4 goals last season. And of course, customary Nick Dabano was an ex-Victory junior as well.
We'll see whether he'll replace, well, one of those players, if not both, will replace both their attacking options. I mean, Liston Diaz put in a massive shift tonight, but how many more minutes does he have in the legs? That's going to be a fascinating subplot heading into the final few moments as Victory look to push the pace. Here's Hoey. Cutting inside and plays it short. Williams, Abani, steps by Latsis. Still going Abani, went to grounds, and it's out for a goal kick. So we will get that double substitution, you'd think, any minute now or any second.
Is it worth risking Liston Diaz for the next 10 minutes or so, or do you ensure that he can play the next few weeks?
Well, they've got a 4-day turnaround, Neil, into another massive game against St Albans, which if they hang on to this, they'll only be 2 points behind Dinamo going into that game at home. I mean, if they can do you back in what you have on the bench and try and get him ready for Friday night with that sort of in the back of your mind, it's a fascinating thought and a fascinating discussion for the Port Melbourne technical area to have.
There is Sultan. He's been a player of such scrutiny in the last few weeks, but he's looked more confident tonight, let's say, with his distribution. What complexion will this game take in the last 20 minutes as we approach the 70th minute now here at the home of the Matildas? On that far side now, Radimisis. Seems as if Bečvanovski and Aiden Brown have been there for about 5 minutes now, just waiting for their time to come on. It's Hoey now tracking deep to receive. Slightly further forward. Looks out wide. Obani in space for the cross. Decides to do so and will win his side the corner. Luka Romic doesn't like the football and has decided to batter it down to the corner flag. And we will see those changes being run out now. And it will not be Liston Diaz that will be the first player that will come off. In fact, Maker will make way. I promise that was not intentional. Just have to see the other side of that board is fashioned in. Oh, a near Olympico. And it's Liston Diaz who gets it clear. And Gorevsky short towards Tobena Obani, out towards that far side. Again, Victory in no rush just yet.
Looking at Victory's bench, Neil, I think they're preparing a goalkeeper swap.
Oh, no way.
It looks like that Casper Fonsboel is about to be coming on for Jonas Sultan.
Unless he's carrying an injury, I am absolutely bemused. Wowee.
So, after Luka Romic's massive save at one end, we will see a goalkeeper sub for Melbourne Victory. Not sure if it's injury enforced or whether it might be perhaps tactical. But Aiden Brown as well will be coming on here. It looks like for Mark Latsis, be one of those changes for Port Melbourne. And it'll be Maker coming off here for Alec Bečvanovski. So Liston Diaz will play out a few more moments at least. But two attacking options on here for the Sharks in Bečvanovski and Brown to try and see this result out. And here we go. It will be Jonas Sultan who'll be coming off, and he'll be coming off under his own volition. So no obvious signs of injury if there is one, and it will be a senior debut for Casper Fonsboel. The 18-year-old, former Caroline Springs George Cross, becomes the fourth goalkeeper to line up for Victory this season. You mentioned earlier, Neil, we've seen Siciliano, Groskowski, Sultan, now Fonsboel.
Oh, it's... what a competition. As the ball is fashioned in from Victory. Bečvanovski able to send it high, and I think that has to be the most amount of keepers used in a senior NPL Victoria season, as they've now eclipsed South Melbourne's 3. Although I think none of those players have been injured, to be honest, which is the beauty of academy football. Trovchevsky, fashioned long again. It's a good first touch from Parker Williams. Radamisis looks to receive it into toe, and it's Aiden Brown now who drives forward in the centre circle. Looks out wide. Jonathan Vikertzis now striding forward. It's Vikertzis looking to fire one from range. Oh! A baptism of fire for the senior debutant, but Jonathan Vikertzis winding him one up from all about 40 yards. Wowee.
Well, Jonathan Vikertzis has only scored 3 NPL Victoria goals before tonight, and I dare say that would have been the best of the lot if that found its way in as an assist, and what an attempt.
I think it's a tempo setter for for the young keeper.
Absolutely. Here's Lazarevsky, well defended there from Port Melbourne, and here they go again through Diaz. A few step overs and an unfortunate slip there from the Port Melbourne goal scorer tonight, Abani. Back to Mihalidis. Radamitsis looking to feed it through, and it's turned over again. Diaz, Bečvanovski. Farrow filling in now at wing back, position we saw him play quite a bit during his time at Preston. Would turn into more of a left back, particularly in his first season at the club. Well played, and now's a chance here for Diaz again. He's on a hat-trick, but well defended from Williams. Got a foot in at the all-important moment. And Liston Diaz, he wants his third, and the Sharkies want to put this one beyond doubt as there's a foul off the ball, perhaps for Burke, but no free kick paid. Verkurtis goes to ground. Here's Bechvanovsky. Dib. Laban, lovely work there from Port Melbourne. Ferro driving forward. Out wide here to Diaz. Back inboard to Dib. Looking to feed it through, but not on the same wavelength there as Liston Diaz, but it was so well worked initially there from Port Melbourne, and some of those movements on the edge of the area, they've just been dynamite.
They've been so good at moving the ball and finding space, and this is what Gajdowski has done. He's inspired this team to play football and win games in attractive manners, and they've done so tonight. Can they hold on? It's John Radamisis looking to wind one up, and Romic was slightly tested. Whew. That had some venom on it. And Delano Farrow. It looks as if the Sharks are going to make another change, as I think one of the supporter marshals has given it to the team manager, who will then give it to the fourth official. Haven't seen that tactic deployed. Verkurtis. Bechvanovsky, nice piece of interplay. And that's Laban. That's tremendous. From Anthony Laban, out wide towards Delano Farrow, who has space to his right for Liston Diaz. Diaz in behind as Delano Farrow has broken to space and is not just won his side a corner just yet. And now it is with Damian Bozanovsky out wide again. Victory in their build-up play, not exactly playing with much urgency. It's about conserving the pre-existing energy and maybe having a few late gasps. A poor misaligned pass. Now into space is Nicholas Dib. Leban attempting to switch. Not on cue. Radamisis. Gorevsky. Out wide it goes again. And it's a clean win by Verkurtis. That was well done, and he spots the run of Diaz. Does Bechvanovsky, but decides not to use him. And now Port Melbourne with a rare spell of possession. And have done more of that in this second half. Delano Farrow striding forward. Heavy touch for Nicholas Dib. Oh, that did not look nice at all. But play continues. And I think play will now come to a grinding halt.
It's a strong challenge there in the middle of the park there. Good to see that Radamisis is all good after that challenge there from Dib. Just both players contesting the loose ball, and Victory now will get back possession. Just waiting confirmation of Port Melbourne's next substitution. So we've got just over 12 minutes of regulation remaining, plus stoppages. Port Melbourne looking to close out what would be a massive win in the context of their season, their hopes of survival in the top tier of Victorian football. Here's Abani. Radamitsis. Good hold-up play there from Lazarevski. Back out wide to Abani. In a crossing position. In a skip past Diaz. Well played there from Abani. In towards the back post. Wall got a head to it. Looking back inboard. And now's a chance for Port Melbourne to go back the other way. Here's Laban. Waits for Diaz. Diaz burning forward. Has Brown in support. That's a good challenge there from Williams. Desperate defending. Denying Aidan Brown, who was making that run in behind. Radamitsis. Out wide here to Hoey. Plays it into the area. It's not a bad ball in, and it's not over the bar. Patrick Wall just unable to steer that header on target. And that was a golden opportunity there for Melbourne Victory. And in the meantime, Port Melbourne are going to make a substitution, and it's going to be a senior debut for Christian Vranek. And he'll be coming on here for Liston Diaz, the man whose 2 goals has the Sharks in the lead. An incredible performance from Liston Diaz, who has been really this season, Neil, a one-man wrecking crew for Port Melbourne. And another big performance from him. He'd be hoping will help the Sharks to a massive 3 points tonight, but a first opportunity of senior football for Christian Vranek here tonight for the final 10 minutes.
Of course, ex-Werribee City youngster, and his first opportunity has mainly had to bide his time through the 23s. The Port Melbourne Sharks, who have been good in patches, and we will see another double change for the Victory as well, and it doesn't look as if on the first introspection, first look, that we'll see Tomasa Mendatoli. It looks like we'll see James Lackey as well as Aaron Bazneski. So certainly a peculiar approach, but nonetheless we'll see the delivery here. It's fashioned in towards a back stick, and Verkurtzis is able to get it clear. We are approaching that time of the game where it's just going to be long ball central, it seems, from the Victory. Attempting to bide their way forward and get anything from this game. They call these games relegation 6-pointers for a reason. And these last 10 minutes will be all the more demonstrative of that. Parker Williams. Port Melbourne with a flat back 5 in possession. It's away from Karmas. It's a touch from Brown. That is quite superb. And Vranek could have the beating of Parker Williams, but took his touch slightly away from his body. And we'll see the introduction now of James Lackey and Aaron Bazneski. Of course, James Lackey, the Green Gully youngster, made his switch across. And, of course, did feature in that Bayern Munich Challenge squad last season as well.
So it'll be Jordan Hoey and Linus Burke coming off here. Bazneski and Lackey on.
Melbourne Victory coming off, number 2, Linus Burke, and number 14, Jordan Hoey, replaced by number 32, Aaron Bazneski, and number 24, Jimmy Lackey.
So double change here from Victory. Minutes remaining. Can they get something from this game? Long ball towards Abani. Farrow goes to ground, and it will be a corner to Melbourne Victory. So Lucky did well. His first bit of play since coming on, and he's won inside a corner here. So what can they do here from the set piece? Mihalidis going over to take. Plays forward from the back. Ball whipped into the back post. Williams is waiting for it, but it's not away there. And now a chance for Port Melbourne to go. Bechvanovsky, the foot race is on. Well defended there by Lackey, and it's turned over. Here's Lazarevsky, skips inside. Now here's Wall. Plays it back in board. Mihalidis, and Farrow getting back, and it's coming straight back here to Lackey. Abani. Some players waiting in the middle, but his cross is cleared by Laban. Good challenge there. Bazneski. Well worked on the edge of the area. Bazneski still going, and it's cleared away again by Laban. So Victory been able to lock it in their attacking half here.
And they will be on the charge for these remaining 6.5 minutes just about of regulation. Lackey has a sweet turn past Delano Farrow. And he fashions into low delivery. Oh, it whizzes away past the near post. Mihalidis with a delightful shot, just whisking over the bar. And that is what a player like James Lackey can do for you. He has been a bit unfortunate this season, I have to say, Nick Tabano. Tabano Abani was brought in just on the eve of the season, and you would have thought that he would have been the player to more or less been that starting fullback. to divide his time through the 23s alongside Phineas Harbinson as well, who's just broken his way through as well. Of course, players that were involved in senior NPL setups last season at non-A-League clubs. So always good to see the Victory coaching staff having a look at the NPL. Of course, I have in the past with Luka Kolic as well. And here is Delano Farrow. Looks like the Sharks will go to their bench for the final time tonight. This is their third substitution window. And to Barney yet again. Now Dibb. Oh, it's a delightful touch from Nicholas Dibb. And here's Farrow. Dibb once again. Feeds it through. Bechvinovsky. Rather, I say Vranek. Good bit of play. Heavy touch from Delano Farrow. Lackey eventually able to get it clear. Leban. All sent high. Vranek heads it inside. And I think Aidan Brown was offside. He was. And Daniel Serra will make his way onto the park. And Nick, I'm sorry to say again, he's a Victory former under-21s player, as well as North Geelong.
Dibb. No free kick awarded. Farrow plays it through. Here's Vranek. It's been busy since coming on. Holding the ball up in the just in front of the Port Melbourne technical area and wins his side to throw it. So we will see that substitution now. It will be Daniel Serra, who comes on here for the final few minutes. We're replacing Delano Farrow, who's put in a big shift at both wing back and up front tonight.
Number 22, Daniel Serra, replacing number 7, Delano Farrow.
Another big shift from Farrow, who of course is causing problems going forward along with Liston Diaz, but filled in well at wing back since Mark Latsis was taken off and they made those first lot of changes. As here's Laban stepping forward. Brown. Well played there from Radomitsis. Here's Mihalidis looking for Wall. Well defended by Muyet. Dibb. Vranek isolated here with Abani. Looking to cut inside. Lucky did well to offer some support. And now a chance here for Victory to go. Wall. Gorevsky. Looking back towards Patrick Wall. He's timed his run well. Patrick Wall puts it wide. A golden opportunity there for Patrick Wall to bring the scores level. Oh, his second great opportunity in this second half, Neil. And really did so well to get himself in a goal-scoring position, but just unable to put that one on target.
It was a delightful bit of play to find Patrick Wall yet again and just completely fizzed his shot wide. You have to get that on target at the very least. In these crucial moments, and Victory will look back upon that moment, perhaps, if things don't go their way tonight. And that might be a crucial moment in their season. Gorevsky. Oh, what an immense challenge on Aman Homkamas. And he's going straight into the book. That did not look pretty whatsoever. And that will be a certain free kick for Victory right across the D region.
That was a very strong challenge, Neil.
If we had VAR in this league, I think they would have a look at that. But we could say a lot of things about potential circumstances in the NPL. That did not look pretty. And, well, Victory have rued their chances tonight. They've been on an upward trajectory in recent weeks. From the highs of highs, defeating the reigning NPL champions last week, to falling potentially to the Sharks this week. Football is a funny game. The NPL Victoria is a funny league at times. this moment of salvation, potentially, for Jack Mihailidis. It could be the time. It is Mihailidis to strike, and it's over the bar. As we enter the 90th minute now, and Victory are increasingly staring down the battle of a massive fight on their hands next week against the Melbourne Knights.
Well, the bottom four sides, Neil, all play each other. Port Melbourne against St Albans at JL Murphy Reserve on Friday night. 4 days' time. Victory get the joy of a week off before back here against Melbourne Knights in another huge game for them and for the Knights as well. See how much added time there will be. Will Victory, a point will be massive for them. We spoke about 3 would have been huge going into the game, but they'll take anything from this game. There'll be 4 minutes of added time. Abani skips past his man. Plays it back to Williams. Radamitsis. Patient in their build-up here, the home side. Lucky. Cuts inside. Well played there from Jimmy Lucky. Has a go! And it's over the bar. Not a bad attempt there from the substitute, but it was always rising.
It's good to have intuition, and it's good to have confidence on the ball, and he's shown nothing but that. He's shown that he's willing to take the game on, and you just think if they brought him on earlier, what the outcome could potentially be. Of course, traditionally a fullback. He's been deployed more or less in a attacking role tonight and has not looked out of place remotely. It's hard to fit Obani and Lackey in the same system, but I would like to see it again the next few games as Lazarevsky has time. On the left-hand side, he's broken his way through, but it's battered away by Jonathan Verkurtzis. Liston Diaz, he takes the ball and says, you know what, I'm going to take that home tonight. Just taking some more time off the clock. Parker Williams now laterally finds Bozanovsky. It is now or never for the young Vucks. Williams, heavy touch, but retains possession, driving forward. He seeks the run of Lazarevsky, and that was an immensely poor pass when it had to be nothing but perfect. Verkurtzis just sees the ball over and says, where did that go? As he takes it in time now. Long throw. It's with Aiden Brown. Vrenek. Bouncing ball again. Obani. Lazarevsky. Good touch. Space for Mihailidis. He skins his man. Jack Mihailidis, and that's an immense challenge from Riyad Mouye. And the Sharks will have it yet again. Vrenek seeks the ball over the top, out towards that left side. It's Serra. Dispelled by this club several years ago. Finds Bechvinovsky. And I think their best friend will be the famed corner flag. But Victory will have one final chance. We've seen late goals at this venue in the past. Might it bear fruit tonight? Ball over the top. It's Verkurtzis. Immense header. And Vrenek, another heavy touch. Now Abani. Rolls it back for Parker Williams. All numbers forward for the Victory. Abani yet again in space. Seeks to run in behind. And they'll try their luck one more time. Lackey will throw it to Abani. And Damian Bozanovsky is up for the long throw. One of their first tasks this season was to contend the Max Mikela long throw. They'll try it tonight. It's shaped in. It's batted clear. And Port Melbourne able to get it clear themselves. It's Aiden Brown in space. This could be it. It's Brown looking across the face for Bechvinovsky. And it's all two in time. And I think they'll have one final chance, will they? It seems as if they will. Play waved on. Radamisis. Lazarevsky, good touch. He's got space on that left flank. It's Lackey. And again, Vrenek beaten. Immense from Lackey. Across the face and a corner.
Oh, nervous moments there for Port Melbourne.
Casper Fonsbol urged to go up for it.
What a moment this could be for victory, Neil.
Oh, my word. Well, this league is strange. It's provided us innumerable moments that we will remember for generations to come. And the victory to fashion into the delivery here. It's fashioning well. Oh, that was the chance. Another corner. Wowee. The drama ensues. Oh, it's been reversed. It's a goal kick.
Oh, boy. Controversy. Well, the Port Melbourne bench were up in arms there, Neil. And they get the decision, which should see out the victory here. Luka Romic taking his time with this goal kick. And that's it. A massive 3 points for Port Melbourne. They win this relegation 6-pointer and boost their survival hopes immensely. Listen Diaz's brace, either side of Daniel Lazarevski's equalizer, enough to give Max Gadovski's side, well, his second win in charge, but their fourth win of the season, and they're back within 2 points of St Albans in their hopes of survival, who they face on Friday night in yet another massive 6-pointer. And what a big, big win that was for Port Melbourne, Neil. And heading into the final run of this season, they're well and truly in the thick of it to keep their hopes of survival alive.
3 teams going down means more fight, it means more battles, it means more 6-pointers, and it means more drama. And tonight was completely demonstrative of that. An impeccable match of football and a lot to take away from both sides. More pertinently, Port Melbourne, with the wind in their sails, this Friday night will prove to be another enormous clash for themselves. If they're able to bring in more players, you're just about to say that they're inches closer to staying up in this competition.
Well, it's a massive game on Friday night for Port Melbourne at home against St Albans. A very tight turnaround for them, but they'll be riding all the momentum, along with St Albans, of course, who beat Oakley last Friday. So things shaping up beautifully for Friday night football. But Melbourne Victory back in action a week's time against Melbourne Knights, another side that are inside the relegation zone and are desperate for points. So the 6-pointers don't stop it tonight. They continue again next week. Thank you very much for your company at home for this game here tonight, the home of the Matildas. We'll be back soon. Obviously, all the action back on Friday night, all the cup action as well. The Nike FC Cup continues this week, so make sure you tune into the Football Victoria and NPL Victoria YouTube pages. I've been Nick Tabano, been joined today by Neil Simons. Neil, what a pleasure it's been tonight here at the home of the Matildas, and looking forward to getting back on the gantry again next week, and things really heating up in this competition.
It's peak season, it's transfer season, it's cold, it's wet, it's the NPL Victoria. Thank you, Nick.